Detroit did 313. We're back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football before we get going again. It is draft week. I just can't. I'm giddy, guys. I'm sorry. It's draft week. We're just one more step closer, one more inch, hour, minute, second. I'm pumped. Before we get going, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the bell icon. And Steve, tell them what we're talking today.
William, as a young boy, up until about the age of 9, Christmas was something I always look forward to.
Yep.
Just Christmas. It's Christmas. Like Santa's coming. Bring me some presents, some cookies, a couple weeks off school, holidays.
Yeah.
Good food, family. As a man, Christmas for me now is the NFL draft.
Yeah.
This is a pivotal draft for the Lions.
I
We got a little taste last year. We got a little taste of some winning football. Won a couple playoff games. Got to the NFC Championship. Had a lead 24-7 at halftime. We were knocking on the door of the first ever Detroit Lions Super Bowl.
We gotta ring this up.
I got to bring it up. It's
a different direction.
This is exciting. We lost that game, but we needed to lose that game. We needed to lose so that we could grow. We've gone into free agency, hit a home run, love everything we've done. This draft is what's going to cap it. This draft is what's going to be the needle mover, get us over that hump, whatever terminology you guys want to use. This draft is absolutely pivotal. But we've talked about a lot of players we like, a couple that we don't like. We don't really like doing episodes about players we don't like. It's not as fun, but we've done it. So today we're going to talk what don't we want to see on draft day. Will,
Yes,
you
sir.
already know what mine is. We'll get into it. But What is something you do not want to see Thursday night, Friday night, whatever night it may be in the draft?
It's simple for me, man. I don't want to see Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and this team not be Brad Hemble or Brad Holmes.
Hey, that's a t-shirt name.
I like that. I like that. But Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, I don't want them to not be themselves, man. That's the biggest thing I want. I don't want them to change anything. I want them to continue to be themselves. And I don't want to see them go conservative, is what I mean. I don't want to see them say, hey, we got to get a pretty decent team. We got a pretty decent roster. I'm okay with just sitting at pick 29. I'm okay with sitting at our other choices and just drafting where we're at. I want them to be aggressive. I want them to take all of the catchphrases, all of the things that we've been saying. Villain, right? Be a villain on draft day, right? Do something nasty, right? Do something that sets this league on fire. Do something that ultimately makes us remember the draft in Detroit. I don't care if it's trading back and getting a bazillion pieces or getting an extra piece from somebody's team. I don't care if it's trading up in the draft. I don't care if it's doing what I'm going to do in my mock draft. I want something aggressive to happen. I want to forever remember the day that the draft was in Detroit and we did X, Y, and Z. I want the league to leave salty. That's another catchphrase from the Detroit Lions. I want to see Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell do another draft that people are going to leave, maybe saying that we're idiots or maybe with their mind blown. But I want to fleece the league, man. And I want to sell out. I want to sell out on draft day. So the last thing that I want to see in the 2024 NFL draft in Detroit, Michigan, is us be conservative and just pick where we're supposed to be selecting. If we do that, I will be disappointed unless I see on Inside the Den here in a month or so that all our guys just fell exactly where we wanted them to be. Brad, there's people on your draft board that you want, right? And I don't know if they're the same guys that me and Steve want.
More than likely not. I guarantee you he's drafting a guy that we haven't talked about. That's just the gut feeling I have.
I mean, I'm quite sure, man. They what they do is on a special level, man. We're podcasters trying to do the best that we can with the research and the team that we have, which is me and you. You know what I mean? So the bottom line is don't be conservative, Brad. Don't change who you are. Go out there and be aggressive. And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
To me, aggressive. Now, I understand the aggressiveness of moving back in the draft and getting more, but when I think of the word aggressive, and what I think a lot of people are going to think is you're wanting them to trade up and be aggressive, go get your guy type of aggression. Is that the vibe I'm getting?
It is and it isn't. So by aggressive, I mean this. If you're looking at that draft board and you're going, man, I got a cluster of dudes that I like. I'm going to trade back in this draft, right? And I'm going to get an extra pick in a third round or maybe an extra second rounder, right? And this team is going to be happy because at pick 29, because even as I look at this, we got the Kansas City Chiefs picking at pick 32 and we're at pick 29. man, they want a receiver. Maybe Xavier Worthy's still on the board. Maybe a Donnie Mitchell's still there. Maybe Xavier Ligg is still there. Keon Coleman. Maybe they want to go get that guy. Maybe we trade with them and let them bump up 3 slots and we get a little something from them. You know what I mean? I think there's all types of opportunities. Minnesota Vikings is another one. Minnesota Vikings need a linebacker, right? And they got an 11 pick. And if we get down to that cluster of guys at I can't remember where they are. They're pick 23.
11 and 23.
Yeah, so they're pick 23. We're pick 29. Maybe we bump up to 29 and we deal them, somebody, man, and give them a little bit of draft equity to go up and go get Latu or something. Be aggressive. Make your moves. Move around that board. Dance around. Maybe we're moving up. We're moving back. We've seen Brad do it before. But it's not just about moving up. It could be about moving back. But what it is about is fleecing this league. I know Jameson Williams hasn't really panned out to be what we had hoped that he would be last season. But I do think that he is going to take a step forward this season. I think that the glimpses that we've seen so far, to me, and what I believe is that he's special. So I believe that we fleeced the league when we made that trade to go get J-Mo, man. We got a special player on our team, right? And that's what I want to see again. I want to see us making moves to move this needle even further. I want the 2024 draft to be special. I want it to be that knockout punch by the underdog where, man, you didn't see it coming. We thought Brad was going to do X, Y, and Z. He moves up, he moves back, or he does something that we never would have thought would have been possible. And I just want him to pull out all the stops because I do feel like we got a decent roster, man. But I feel like if we hit a home run in this draft, I don't care about 2025 draft. Like I don't care about it. Because if we hit a home run in this draft, we got a young football team. Our football team's young. Who cares about 2025? Come see me in 2026. I don't care about 2025 draft, right? Hit a home run, give up pieces, give up people if you need to. Do what needs to be done to hit a home run in this draft, swing for the fences, make this team great for the next decade. And we're not going to be one of those teams that's worried about the draft anymore. We're going to be worrying about keeping our pieces together and maybe sprinkling 1 or 2 guys here and there, but we're not going to be looking to get 3 or 4 starters in the draft. Maybe we're like the Kansas City Chiefs, just hoping to get a guy to add to sprinkle to our roster, but we're not looking to build a team anymore. How you feel about it, Steve?
I'm glad you brought up the Minnesota Vikings. I wasn't planning on even mentioning them. We had no really itinerary or whatever you want to call it for what we were going to talk about today. We just kind of got on here. Hey, no notes. Let's just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
I read a report that the Minnesota Vikings are very, very high on Michael Penix.
Yep.
Very, very high. They had all hands on deck at a pro day. They've sent a lot of people to check him out. And I think he's a good quarterback. But here's the thing. This isn't a Minnesota Vikings show, so I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and hit my point, and we can move on. The Minnesota Vikings need a quarterback. End of story. Sam Darnold is not the answer. That dude's seeing ghosts. Just wait till you come to Detroit, and you're going to be really seeing some ghosts with our defense we're about to put out there. But he's not the answer. So what do? The first 3 picks of the draft, I feel like, are going to be quarterback. Mm-hmm. The 4th quarterback on my personal board is J.J. McCarthy. Now, for them to move up to 4, is Arizona willing to do that to move back to 11? I don't know. I don't know how Arizona can pass on a generational talent like Marvin Harrison. So just because you need to trade doesn't mean that the other team that you want to do business with is willing to trade. So do you think JJ is going to go between 4 and 10 right before Minnesota? I personally do. So that kind of puts him out of the question. Now is 23 a little too high to take Michael Penix? I also think so too. I don't think Michael Penix is a top 25 pick in this draft. So I like where your head's at with Minnesota because I could see them being a trade partner. Hey, I like Michael Penix. I don't like him at 23. I like him a whole lot more at pick 29. So they might be a team that's willing to do business. If we can move up and we get a Latu Latu, Jared Verse, maybe Nate Wiggins or Kenyon Mitchell, maybe is still hanging around. I don't know. But if you're right, and that's the aggressive move that needs to happen, just moving up 6 little spots to get your guy, not giving up a whole lot and completing your roster. I'm really glad you brought up that Minnesota's team because I think we've done business with them in the past. Mm-hmm. What they're looking at to do this year and just my personal feelings might be a situation to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, man. That's the bottom line. I think that there's teams out there that need things right around that area in the 20s, and we can provide those things or an opportunity for them to get extra things and then bump back. So I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't want to be disrespectful because I love our Lions, but Derek Barnes to me is somebody that I think is a pretty decent football player, and I think that he took a step forward last season. But is he somebody that I feel like is a core piece that we can't afford to lose? No. So I even think about guys like that because there's teams out there: Minnesota Vikings, Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks. There's teams out there that need an interior linebacker. Maybe Minnesota. Maybe we throw you Derek Barnes, right? And we spray Klum into the trade, right? And then maybe we trade back, get an extra piece. Who knows? The possibilities are endless, man. And I'm not saying I'm not guys before you guys think that I'm, trying to get rid of Derek Barnes or, whatever. That's not the case. I'm just saying this. I want Brad Holmes to swing for the fences because if you're telling me that I bring Edgerrin Cooper on this team, where does Derek Barnes play anyways? All right, because you're not taking Anzalone off the field, you're not taking Jack Campbell off the field. If Edgerrin Cooper's coming in, he's going to come in for Derek Barnes. Most likely would be my guess. So, so he's a guy that might be a piece that could be utilized anyways. No different than when we got CJ Gardner-Johnson, we drafted Brian Branch, and Tracy Walker was the odd man out because Ife Melifonwu took a huge step forward. That's just what it is. So, not throwing any shade at Derek Barnes. The guy took a step forward. I love the guy's personality. I love that he's a team guy, and I love that interception that he had at crunch time. But we're talking about Edgerrin Cooper or Derek Barnes, I got to lean towards Edgerrin Cooper, right, from what I've seen. Bottom line, if we can maybe deal him or put him as a piece to what we're trying to do on draft day to not have to give up a extra piece later on in the draft or a piece in the 2025 season, I think that it should be something that we put to the table. But keeping this on subject, in this draft, I do not want to see Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell be conservative. Don't be conservative. Swing for the fences. Forget about that 2025 season. Let's put together a team in this draft that can not need to be drafting in 2025, not need to depend on that draft in 2025. Now, hopefully we have some pieces left over. Maybe we got, maybe we only have a first rounder and a third, or only a first and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth, whatever. There's teams that have went to drafts. Hey, the Rams were one of them where they sold the farm and they had no draft pieces and they went out there and they won a Super Bowl. So bottom line is you don't have to continue to build your team through the draft. Once you built your team through the draft, we took the last few seasons and built this team to the draft. We got a young football team. We got guys that are ready to go. Let's put some more young Lions. You see what I did there, Steve? Let's put some more young Lions on this young Lions team, and let's shore up this roster moving forward for the next decade. Let's go for broke again. I want Detroit family, Detroit fan, Denites. I want us to forever remember the draft in Detroit, Michigan as a day where Brad Holmes just did something villain-like, just did something to make the league salty, just did something gritty on draft day, and we celebrated for years and years and years, man.
I'm with you. But if we do pick at 29, I trust Brad.
Oh, but no doubt.
I like moving up. We've even just did an episode about, the smartest thing to do would probably be to move back, get some more picks, really fill this team out. Yeah. But, Will, there's something I don't want to see on draft day.
What don't you want to see?
I think our team is, starting right now, today, I love our team.
Yeah.
If Marcus Davenport is probably, out of the 22 starters, he's probably 22 for me. He's the one I have a question mark about.
How you know he's starting?
I don't, but
I think Mr. Pascal might have something to say about that.
I think Marcus Davenport is a solid player when healthy. But what I don't want to see in the draft is someone who's not going to make somewhat of an impact. I got to be careful with my words because Lions fans just take one little word and they just run with it. I want to see someone
take one little word and run with it. I'm waiting.
I want to see players get drafted, especially in the first round, make somewhat of an impact. Now, I don't think we're drafting a first round player and saying, hey, when the team gets introduced, offense or defense, when they're running out of the tunnel, I don't think you're going to see these guys. I think our team is pretty much set. Yeah. But what I can do in this draft is I can draft a corner. I can sprinkle you in somewhere, depending on what the other team's doing, what type of personnel they're running out. I can take a wide receiver. I can go make my offense absolutely elite. not a starter, but I can take a Xavier Liggett and make him impactful in some type of way.
Yeah.
So what I'm really hinting at is I know our offensive line is old. I know it's really, really good. I know we can put out certain personnel and go into these big packages, but I just can't draft an offensive lineman in the very, very, very first round. Round 2, I'm okay. I'm okay with drafting an offensive lineman. When I think, and what my motto and what my credo is your draft picks in the first round should start. But with how the Lions roster is constructed, I kind of have to tweak it and say, I need at least guys I can get into a game. When I look at the offensive line, I know it's our strength. I know it's what we're going to rely on as long as we have Jared Goff as our quarterback. I know that's what he needs. But I cannot draft a guy in the first round, shake his hand, welcome him to Detroit, and say, I'm probably going to see you in 2025. We are knocking on the door of a Super Bowl. I think there's players out there that can help us. I think we made some mental mistakes in that NFC Championship game. None of them were on the offensive line. They were on a young running back who had his first career fumble, bad timing. They were on Josh Reynolds for 2 dropped passes, bad timing. They were on Dan Campbell for not kicking field goals and taking some points to kind of cushion the lead or match points, bad timing. When I look at the offensive line, they were the only unit that played well from start to finish. I know they're old, but I just can't set a guy on a shelf for a year or only put him in when Dan Skipper does a pretty good job at that swing tackle position.
Steve, that's all great and fine. We lose 2 offensive linemen. What does our team look like?
Well, I could play devil's advocate and say, what happens if we lose our 2 defensive ends? I mean, it's the NFL.
If we lose our 2 defensive ends, then we play 2 more defensive ends that we have on our team.
Well, then we play 2 more offensive linemen, Coyote Awosika and Dan Skipper. Not ideal. It's not ideal.
But I think it would be less ideal way less ideal from an offensive line standpoint than if you got to throw out John Kaminsky and Josh Pascal, right? Like if I got to,
I didn't say that. I said, what if we lose Aiden Hutchinson and Josh Pascal?
Then we throw Kaminsky out there and we throw Marcus Davenport out there, which I think is I feel way more comfortable with than Corby Sorsdahl and Awosika, is what I'm saying. Well, yeah. So that's the bottom line, man. Like if we got Corby Sorsdahl and Awosika out there or Dan Skipper, Jared Goff dies, right? And that's the problem. That's why I think you go offensive line. If you lose Aiden Hutchinson and you lose John Kaminsky or Josh Pascal, then you just put out there the next two defensive linemen, right? And you'll survive. Now, are they going to be as impactful? No, but you can go bend but don't break and survive. If you lose this offensive line, Jared Goff dies. Like our season is over, right? So I think that you got to build this offensive line first, and you got to have contingencies for this offensive line first. Now, Awosika, could he contribute? I think so. But when people start game planning for him week in and week out, I think we're going to see some issues. I think that we're going to see some problems when people say that, hey, they got a fish in their line now. Awosika's the fish. We're going to attack him. We're going to stunt towards him. We're going to slant towards him. We're going to figure out a way that Micah Parsons is over the top of him every single snap, right? So they're going to start game planning for the fish. It's not just going to be a 1 week thing. It's not going to be that they didn't know until the game started. They're going to know that Awosika is now a starter. Oh, shoot. Now Corby Sorsdahl is a starter. Now we got 2 fish out there. We're going to attack those 2 fish. I don't want a fish coming off of my bench. I want another beast coming off of my bench for my offense or off my bench for my offensive line. Jared Goff cannot survive in that pocket that is collapsing. If we had a different quarterback that could scramble and extend plays at a different type of level, then maybe I would be okay with not drafting an offensive lineman. But I need an offensive lineman. It doesn't necessarily have to be at pick 29, but I need it earlier than later because we got to make sure that Jared Goff plays clean football. Otherwise, he doesn't play football at all.
My turn now?
Yes, sir.
Was our defense elite last year?
No.
Okay. You take Aiden Hutchinson, John Kaminsky, Josh Pascal, whatever one, take your choice. Take those 2 away.
Yeah.
Our defense was the worst pass rush in the NFL last year. We only had Aiden Hutchinson. So if you take him off the field, what's your contingency plan? Is it I
still got DJ Reader and I still got Aleem McNeil
with 6 sacks between the 2 of them last year, and one guy's coming off of a torn quad and not 100% ready yet?
It's not about DJ Reader
because you're not putting DJ Reader at the defensive end position.
It's not about DJ Reader getting sacks. It's about him commanding double teams, and it's about him pressing the pocket forward right up the middle.
So you've seen enough pass rush, just purely pass rush from John Kaminsky and Josh Pascal to say, hey, yeah, we can go out and get stops. Now Jared Goff has to go out and score 48 points a game.
I would 100% if I'm choosing in between the two, having a bad offensive line or having Kaminsky and Pascal come into the game, or Marcus Davenport and Pascal, or Marcus Davenport and Kaminsky into the game, or lose 2 offensive linemen. It's a no-brainer for me. I would rather put it on the back of Jared Goff with a good offensive line to put up 40 points than watch him just get destroyed play in and play out, and watch my franchise quarterback that I'm probably about to pay $50 million getting hit play in and play off and just peeling himself off of the ground 100%. For me, it's bolster this offensive line. And then, but I think that there's a world that we're living in where we can both get our way. It's a great thing. I think that I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I can agree with some of your points, but I just think that there's for me, it's got to start with that offensive line standpoint. It's got to start with me being comfortable and having that warm and fuzzy about it, because I have zero warm and fuzzy if Corby Sourstall is in the game and we got Marcus or Max Crosby, or we got Parsons running around, or we got Danielle Hunter running around, or we got, you know what I mean? Like I'm very uneasy about those things. With the quarterback situation that we have, we need a guy that is going to be able to step up in a pocket, deliver an accurate football on time, and keep this offense rolling.
And devil's advocate again, we need to do something to stop those other quarterbacks from running around and running all around us. I mean, listen, now let me throw another scenario at you. No one's injured. We get to the NFC Championship game again. How sexy is that offensive line you took while he's standing on the sidelines with pads on and a clipboard, or maybe listening to play calls instead of getting someone out there who could rush the passer?
Very sexy.
It's sexy watching a guy stand on the sidelines not playing football.
100%. Because
so you wouldn't see him until next year.
Hey, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. I would feel comfortable in knowing that, hey, listen, one of these guys go down here in the Super Bowl, here in this NFC Championship game, no worries. I got a starting lineman on my bench right now. I would feel great about that. No different than I would feel phenomenal if I got Tracy Walker on my bench. Now I got zero worries at the safety position. I got a starting safety on my bench. I like to have starters just waiting in the wings, fresh and hungry, ready to go. You know what I mean? But like I said, I do think that there's a world where we can get both of the things that we want, because I'm not here to tell you that it's got to be Graham Barton. It could be Mason McCormick. It could be Christian Mahogany. It could be, heck, Zach Zenner. So it doesn't necessarily have to happen at pick 29 early. We maybe could address it later on, and maybe we do get that defender. But all I'm saying is, as devil's advocate, we could flip-flop that as well. There are some defenders that we could get that could be impactful, i.e. a Peyton Wilson, i.e. a Edrin Cooper, that might be available in the second round, that might be available in the third round. There's guys out there that can still be impactful defensively that aren't necessarily this high in the draft at pick 29.
I'm with you on that. All I'm saying is, after you get me someone on defense, do whatever you want. Draft 3 offensive linemen in a row. I don't care. But this defense was in the 20s when it ranked. And if we keep playing bad defense, I keep saying it every episode. I'm going to keep saying it until it's fixed. It doesn't matter who your secondary is. If the quarterback on the other team has all day to throw, you can't touch receivers. You can't put your hands on them at the line of scrimmage hardly. You can't grab their jerseys. You can't tickle them. You can't do anything to these receivers in today's rules. Yeah. So how do you mitigate that? Put pressure on the quarterback, put him on his ass before the ball even goes in the air, problem solved. Take all the league rules you want against wide receivers. Won't matter when the quarterback's in the ground.
I'll say this, in my opinion, Carlton Davis, upgrade on Cam Sutton.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, DJ Reader, upgrade on Benito Jones. So you know what I mean? So this defense is already better than it would have been, coming into town from last season. And if Marcus Davenport is on the field, upgrade from Okora's or Kaminsky or even Pascal. So I already think that this defense is better. Now adding another piece to it is only going to help it. I just don't think that piece necessarily has to be in the first round. But hey, if it is, and if it's Latu, I'm gonna be freaking out. I'm gonna be hyped. Let's go. Whoever it is.
Quick question.
I'm gonna trust Brad. Yes, sir.
Is this a Super Bowl caliber defense right now today before the draft starts?
I think so.
Really?
I think so. I do, because we got a number one corner that can compete with guys like Justin Jefferson. Right. we have Aiden Hutchinson and we have DJ Reader, who is a guy that is going to command double teams. We have Aleem McNeil, who's taking a huge step forward. We got a young linebacker that's working with Luke Kuechly as we speak. We have Alex Anzalone, who is just a sharp guy who knows how to get us into all of our calls and do everything the right way. On our back end, we got Kirby Joseph. We got Ife Melifonwu, who took a huge step forward. And I haven't even mentioned a guy that I believe one day is going to be wearing a gold jacket, in Brian Branch. I think that this defense is the type of defense that compete, because there's many defenses over the years that have just been middle tier defenses. There's some years that the Kansas City Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl with middle tier defenses, right? You don't have to have a top 5 defense. Now, do I want one? I do. And do I think that there's some things that we could do in this draft to even have us take a further step forward? I do. But I think that just how we have things right now, I think Aleem McNeil is going to take a huge step forward just from being next to DJ Reader. I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to have the same thing. I think Marcus Davenport is going to have the same thing. And we haven't even talked about Broderick Martin yet. Learning from a guy who's kind of had a similar build and a guy who is willing to embrace the role as coach and mentor. I think that we're sitting in a decent place. Let's just make that place phenomenal. And yeah. I think swinging for the fences will do that this year.
I don't know. I think our defense has improved at every single position we signed in the free agency. I think, like you said, every player we upgraded. Is it a Super Bowl caliber defense? I really want to say yes. I think we're knocking on the door. I think that we woke a lot of people up who weren't familiar with the Detroit Lions last year nationally. And now this year, we're going to go into the 2024 season with some expectations. My only question on this Detroit Lions team is that defensive end position opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. I truly feel it in my soul, in my bones. If you got another guy to rush the passer from the edge with DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil, a revamped secondary, second-year Jack Campbell, Captain Alex Anzalone, you fix that other side. And if Marcus Davenport plays 17 games, I think he's the guy. I just don't trust that he's staying on the field for more than 10 games this year until he proves me otherwise. I have to believe that it's just not going to happen. If you sure up that question mark, even if you draft a defensive end to rotate in with Davenport, you're talking a Super Bowl run. Like anything less to me would be a disappointing season. I'll just say that. That's truly the one missing piece. I feel it.
Steve, do you know the theme for the season, Detroit Lions season? Have you heard it yet?
Oh, I have. It's just like job's not done or something like that.
It's going to take more.
It's going to take more. Yeah.
It's going to take more. And I love where your mind is, man. Like I give you a hard time.
That's all you do is give me a hard time, Will.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
I got a wife to bust my balls. I don't need you to do it. I'm supposed to come here and have a safe place.
No. You told me a long time ago. There is no safe places. But I'm with you, man. It's gonna take more, and I think that's what your mindset is. It's gonna take more guys. It's gonna take another rusher. It's gonna take another cornerback. It's gonna take another receiver, and I think that's what Brad's mindset is too. He said, "I don't care what this roster looks like right now. I need to know what it's gonna look like in November. How do you make it look good? By having depth. That's what I want in this draft. I want impactful dudes, and I want depth. I want iron sharpens iron. I want guys competing against each other. I want guys that have starting roles and are capable of getting the job done, still having to compete for their job day in and day out. And I think that's what we're going to continue to have after this draft. I'm excited for it, Steve. I can't wait for the draft to get here. I kind of feel like I know who we're going to draft in the first round. I can't wait to get this mock draft.
I have no idea. I'm glad you know, because
idea.
I think a realistic Brad Holmes draft, I'm down to 5 guys realistically. Now they might not be in my mock draft, but I think I've got 5 guys in mind, and I really believe it'll be one of those 5. But I don't want to spill the beans on who I think that is. We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, I will say that the guy that I think that we're going to draft did not have good odds in Vegas.
Interesting. We'll have to talk this because you've piqued my interest. But guys, I hope none of our supervisors are listening, because I really just want to call off all week and just get to the draft. I just want to call my boss, like, hey man, I'm just not in it today. I'm just in the draft mindset. I can't come to work. I gotta talk draft stuff. Yeah, we would just call off right now on the air. Like that's kind of where I am. It's getting close. We're a couple days away from the draft. Steve and will be down there. We'll be doing some mingling. We'll be checking out whatever Detroit has to offer, whatever they got set up, seeing what we're going to be doing for this draft. Leave some comments down below. Let us know what you guys don't want to see in the draft, whether it's first round, 7th round, whatever it may be. Leave some comments. Hit that like button. If you're new, stick around, subscribe. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.